when the narcissist feels lost after losing their supply. You see, this only works. The narcissist only ever really feels like they've lost you, and therefore they only ever feel lost themselves if they feel that you're no longer their possession. And most people, after they've ended a relationship with a narcissist, they remain the narcissist's possession for a long time. And I don't mean like an official possession that you're physically with them or no, I mean you are still in their grips. The narcissist knows that they still have grips on you. They can see it, they feel it, they can tell by your behaviors and most likely your inability to move on from them and your inability to just get on with your life independently. And the thing about most people, and most people don't realize this, is when you've broken up with a narcissist, and it could have been their discard, it could have been their doing, a lot of people aren't ready to move on. It's almost like you don't want to break free because narcissists, they dominate people. They have full control over people. When you're with a narcissist, whether or not they were physically with you, maybe you go out and do your thing, you go out and the narcissist goes out and does their thing, they still have this dominating grip on you insofar as you two are in a relationship together. And you become used to that. Their energy envelops you. It's almost like you're the yolk of their egg, and they have this shell around you, which is their domination. And whether consciously or subconsciously, a lot of people, once the relationship has ended, they don't know how to break free from that all encompassing energy that just circulates you, does a full perimeter around you. It's because it's almost like, yes, it's painful. Yes, it's a strong dependency. Yes, it's a very unhealthy bond. But what's the alternative? The alternative from completely breaking free from them is this unknown. How will you feel? Will you manage to make it on your own? Some people fear they might just completely lose it if they manage to somehow break free from the narcissist grip, from that energetic tie, from that bond, because they don't really know anything else. And everything else might feel lackluster compared to the trauma bond, compared to that dependency. And of course, even if you did want to move on immediately, in the best of worlds, it does take time. So it's not, even if you were resolved that you wanted to break the dependency almost immediately and move on, it doesn't really work like that. It doesn't really work like that with a narcissist, and it doesn't even really work like that with healthy relationships. But the problem that many people face is, even after months or sometimes years, it's almost like they are afraid to live in a world without that feeling. Yes, it's not good. Yes, it's toxic. Yes, it kind of holds you back, but a lot of people subconsciously prefer that than to move forward without any real sense of meaning, or at least they fear they might not find that meaning. So many times narcissists, they really don't feel the loss of the person they have left behind because in a way they feel that they possess the person for so long. Sometimes forever, but they tend to possess the person in their minds for so long after the discard, after the breakup, that if you eventually do kind of break free, sometimes they just don't care anymore because you have been replaced by other people, other things. But it's when you actually have the courage and the ability to break free, it's when they lose you as their possession much sooner than they were expecting. And it's not even something they consciously register as such. It's more like this feeling that something went missing. Because narcissists are used to dominating their supply when they're with the person and dominating their supply in some ways still long after the breakup. But it's when the person slips away earlier than the narcissist was expecting that they do feel a loss. And it's that loss, it's that nagging feeling that they don't really know how to deal with, or at least not very well. Because they're losing something they were not quite ready to lose yet. Maybe they wanted you to be in their sphere of influence for another 6, 12 months, 18 months, maybe 5 more years. And if they're a family member, sometimes forever. The thing about narcissists is they like to pretend they don't need people. They like to pretend they don't need their supply. They like to pretend they're hyper independent. But the ones who pretend the most to be the most independent are usually the ones who are actually most dependent, the ones who most need others. And that's why they try to target people that they think have even stronger dependent traits than they do. Hence, they like seeking out codependents, and they like seeking out people who ignore the red flags so they don't know who they're dealing with, which means they allow themselves to fall deeper in the trauma bond with the narcissist. But the thing about narcissists is they're always lying to themselves. They're always pretending they don't need people. They're always pretending they're super fine once they've dumped you, super fine once they moved on. You know, they can act out pretending they're living the dream. But they're trying to game the situation to look like they're doing great. They like to game the optics of it. It's like this optical illusion. Narcissists pride themselves in being able to set up these optical illusions that they're quite confident you'll fall for and believe. But the problem is they try to deceive themselves as well, and self-deception can only take you but so far. Narcissists, at some point, they can't fool themselves anymore. And they can't fool themselves anymore when all of a sudden they feel a shift. And they feel a shift that's a disadvantage towards them, and they can't quite register what's happening until they realize, okay, something is happening, and then they want to do something about it. Because narcissists, they're always running from the truth, always trying to pretend things that are happening that are not good for them. They like to pretend those things are not happening. But they're just digging a bigger hole for themselves. They're just digging a deeper grave for themselves. Narcissists have this tendency to compound their problems until they reach a point where they don't know how they're going to work their way out of it. It's almost like they then hope for a miracle, because there's no reasonable way they can fix the things they've undone. Thanks for watching.